And this is Shannon Dawn. She is here just to chat about witchy stuff because
we can.
Because we can. Yep. So as always, we are. Wait, what are we doing?
We're drinking.
As always, yeah, we're drinking.
We didn't drink last
thanks
time.
for having me.
Yeah. Cheers.
Cheers.
I said we need a sponsorship by White Claw
Yes.
for when you're doing stuff.
Really anything. Showers.
Yes.
Any mowing the lawn.
You've showered in White Claw?
Oh.
Rich? You're rich.
No, I
You're
showered.
rich.
No, I bring one into the shower. It's called breakfast.
First things first, what is going on astrologically right now?
We're heading up to Lammas, which is one of my faves. Basically, Lammas is the first harvest, and so that's when you should start seeing shit happening. And then you can move into the conservation and storing and moving into what you're going to want to move into next solstice. So,
Which I think we've all had manifestations start to harvest
yes,
recently.
indeed.
Yeah, so let's give like a quick update, like what is manifested for you?
I'm really psyched about my rain barrel. I've been thinking about harvesting rainwater for a while, and I finally did my research. I have the time, so I got a rain barrel, and I read on Amazon, you gotta paint the straps. It's got molded plastic fake straps. It's got the brass fitting. The hardware didn't show up with it, so I'm just it's an object lesson in research persistence. So with my foray into gardening at my house, I have a shady yard. I have years where I just don't have the energy to get outside, but this year I'm really getting really hands-on with taking charge of my yard. I cut down a branch by myself.
Nice.
Oh, yeah.
It was a spike branch, and I cut it down. It took me, somebody told me it would be $200 to cut down, and I did it in 4 Dead Boys songs. So then that gave me, that's just a measurement of time. I planted hydrangeas out front, and I wanted them to bloom into big poofy blooms, and that was my expectation. And they did not bloom into big puffy blooms. So I thought, I have neglected to water them enough. So I made the rain barrel plans. I started watering them more, and the existing blooms were opening more, but there was this core of buds at the center that wouldn't open, and it was really annoying me for about 6 weeks, thinking, it's so hot, what have I done? I didn't water early. It would be so nice to have these blooms like I have out back. And then after I ordered the rain barrel, my research showed me that not all hydrangeas open all the way, and that's just the way they are going to be. They are going to be a cluster of flowers with a bunch of little unopened buds in the middle, but they're bigger now.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and you got the rainwater in the process, so double manifestation.
Yeah. Oh, there's also a rain chain, where you can put just a decorative chain and the rain just cascades down.
Oh, I like that.
What? This is my other tip. When you research that, do Control-Shift-N when you open a new browser window, the private browsing window, because then Wayfair.com doesn't collect all your cookies. I looked at rain chains for about 10 minutes, and all of my sponsored content it's content sponsored for the type of person who would buy organic plants and put Miracle Grow on them. There was a t-shirt that said, a little bit hippie, a little bit hood.
So you said you've been doing some green witchcraft. Tell us about that.
Exactly. Just getting ready. Next year I'm going to plant like the most beautiful, epic front yard herb garden. Lavender, chives, some other things I'm going to research. And I'll have my soaker hose and my rain chain. And man, if somebody steals it,
you'll just hex them. It'll be fine.
Yeah,
right?
That'll, maybe they needed those chives, or maybe they were saying, I'm not going to operate in
from a
fear.
place.
Yeah. My interest in witchcraft started, a couple years after puberty, when I was just being like, this is, I don't fit anywhere. This is weird. I'm getting all these messages that just don't feel right. And then so I think understanding like my actual experience with the world as like a maturing woman and what people were telling me as a Pennsylvanian conservative, there was just a dissonance, and I just really had an interest in witchcraft even before I liked horror punk or scary things. I just knew it is still to me a little embarrassing to be like, I have powers. Because that's my internalized misogynistic voice. It's the same voice that when I listen to metal and hardcore. Because when I listen to Riot Girl, their voices grate me, but that's just my that's just my training. That's just my indoctrination.
Yeah.
So for me to go to the gym and listen to Riot Girl, I'm deprogramming myself.
I love that.
Word.
Because I don't want to be irritated at my own voice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've had similar experiences with like punk and metal because they can be very misogynistic spaces, and like I've been groped at metal shows multiple times.
Really?
Yeah, like
Ew.
yeah, really gross shit. And
My first fist fight was getting groped at a show when I was 14.
oh my god,
Actually,
yeah.
I threw like 2 punches, and then this is the only time this has ever happened. Okay, the Pennsylvanian trope is Daddy's cleaning his shotgun to protect you. No, Daddy's cleaning his shotgun because if somebody ruins his girl, he has to marry you. But
Yeah.
I operated under that men protect women. That was what I was raised with.
Yeah.
And the only time that ever actually manifested was at my first hardcore show. Some guy did one of these to me, and I started just lashing out at like him. And then I think it was my older cousin and his friends were like, "Get out of here!" They might have just been looking for a reason to
fight,
kick out the awkward guy.
Yeah.
But that just the planets aligned that day. But yeah, all my other experiences with men protect women is
from
them.
yeah.
Like,
yeah.
it's
Yeah.
that it begs the question.
But
maybe you guys can speak to this too. Well, if the camera's moving, it's because we have this on a cat tower and someone's scratching.
Our tripod is technically a tripod, but it is a fiber covered tripod.
oh man,
Yes.
come here.
Hi.
Oh, for sure.
We're doing DIY production, which is
Essentially, it's Afura
yeah.
who normally is in charge of bringing the equipment, has been on a bender for 4 days.
and I didn't mean to
Yeah,
call you
so-
out. No, that wasn't a call out. That was a celebration of.
It is. Of
That was a
who we are.
celebration of,
Dude, stop. No. Get out of here.
So, something that's been on my mind and heart lately is the power of music in witchcraft.
Oh.
So, like, I've always been into, like, rock music and harder, heavier stuff. And when I first went on my spiritual journey, I stopped listening to that stuff for quite a while because I was like, oh, I'm just going to listen to, like, Buddha chanting music and stuff like that. And I'm just going to do yoga and it's going to be great. But I had to learn over the course of my journey that, of course, there's no light work without shadow work.
Yeah.
And so in recent years, I've gotten, like, more and more into, like, the darker, heavier kind of stuff again. And I actually feel like it just makes me more of a well-rounded witch because I can kind of channel my darkness or my shadow or my frustration through, like, listening to, like, angry music, and then I don't necessarily have to express it in other ways.
That makes a lot of sense because I always thought, or not always, but I have thought that a bit like my wanting to listen to just metal and just like, but isn't circle pit ritualistic? Circle pitting is running in a circle.
So awesome.
It's like
No.
Dionysus.
And
Yeah.
but I mean, I love the pit, and I love beyond circle pitting. I love like a good mosh pit until I'm like, okay, these guys are way bigger than me. It's my time to go. Which is definitely there is a definite feeling where I'm like, I'm in too deep of waters now.
Mm-hmm.
But I have long felt like, and science has shown that like it is cathartic to express anger in healthy ways, and part of that is mosh pit. I very much believe in consensual violence. Whether that takes it
has to be consensual.
sports,
though.
it's
Like,
sports,
Yeah.
mosh pits, BDSM, whatever the fuck it is, like, and those can all go haywire, like if somebody is stepping out of line. But when you're going in and you're saying, okay, I'm going to get hit and I'm going to get that adrenaline, I'm going to get the endorphins, I think it's really important. I think that conflict is important, and being able to express anger. But back to the misogyny part, like, I've definitely been at shows where they were like, no clit in the pit, and you're like, yeah.
Well,
I
an
mean,
expression for
yeah,
sure.
it's definitely an expression.
part of me,
Yeah.
like, as someone who has taken a black eye from a mosh pit that I didn't want to be in, so it wasn't consensual for me.
That sucks when you can't get out.
Yeah,
Yeah,
if you
so
can't get out, it's one
I feel
thing.
like part of me is like maybe they're saying that because they don't want to accidentally hit a girl, but at the same time, if you
no.
want to
They're
be
not
part of
saying
it,
they're not saying
They're
that.
not.
They,
Okay.
they don't say that to the girls on the end. They say that to the girls.
Because they don't
it.
say it to your face, they say it to their buddies.
They say it to their buddies, and yeah. But
I've had a couple experiences.
I've had
the I'm a nail that needs to be hammered down experience, and then I've had the overprotective experience.
Yeah,
leave me alone. You're not my protector.
Yes.
I have a good spot, and then some guy comes up and does this. It's just like, bro, I'm fine.
Yeah.
Yeah,
if I want to step back, I will step back. But like,
or people have asked me about like, how can you like Queens of the Stone Age when Josh Homme kicked a female photographer in the face?
What? I didn't know
He
that.
kicked her camera and it bopped her in the face.
Oh.
And sometimes your faves are problematic.
yes,
It's hard.
This is
a side tangent when you love things that aren't for you. Hardcore pro wrestling. You know, there's that.
Yeah.
So my response, I was just thinking, like, speaking as a woman who's been kicked in the face at shows, you know, if it's not personal,
yeah,
but I've
if
been
it's
on
really
the,
not personal,
because I've been on the end of like, oh, well, you know, somebody does that, that's it. And then I've been on the end of, I have a scar in my thigh still, like, because when I was like 16, I was at a Buried Alive show and I was moshing and somebody kicked me in my thigh. And I had a bruise like this for about 6 weeks, and my gym teacher wanted to get like the authorities involved.
Oh my god!
And then I've had a dimple in my fat since I was 16.
Oh my god!
And I'm
so
38.
You got kicked really fucking hard.
And I'm 38. It dimpled my cellular.
Oh my god!
Yeah.
And I mean, the worst mosh pit injury that I've ever had, and it came from a woman. She like had some shit out for me. I was at Slayer on their farewell tour. I was running, and she just decided she had some shit out for me. And she threw me. It was like Power Rangers. Like, she was much bigger than I was. And she, like, I was running, and she just threw me, and my hip still is jacked. I mean, it's only a year later, but
Yeah.
I can only sleep on it for so long. Like, it's definitely, like, a lasting injury. She got kicked out of the show, but she and her buddy were picking fights with a lot of people.
Yeah.
But there was just like something especially, like, she just was not comfortable.
And then for somebody to say that you can't hang, that's bullshit. Because it's like, I can hang.
Like,
She couldn't hang.
Oh no, she didn't say nobody said I couldn't
with
hang.
their expression, I feel like if I were to tell that story to 20 people, 3 of them would be like, so maybe you shouldn't mosh.
Oh yeah. But yeah, and I've been in mosh pits since I was 14, so it was like, I know what to expect. I've been windmilled in the face, and that was an accident. That person wanted to hurt me, and that's different, and that's not consensual violence. That's
exactly.
That you're having an issue with just, I don't know if it was me or if it was everybody or if it was just other women.
Well, there's that one skirt at the table mentality.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, where women are competitive.
When we're forced to compete.
Yeah, that's very
You have
true.
to outgrow that.
Yeah.
We're not in high school anymore.
And she was much older than me, I could tell.
Yeah.
But she was, I was like, it was, I will never forget it. It was just like, I'm running and this boulder appeared and just like threw my ass across the pit. I was like, wow.
Yeah.
You did that on purpose.
So,
and you were
so to bring us back, if we were all more in touch with our goddess powers, we wouldn't be petty.
Yeah, don't be petty. Yeah,
like
yeah.
that is the cheapest.
Don't go to a metal show to be petty. Have fun.
Yeah. Oh, and I mean, in that same show, I saw this other girl that I was friends with, and I saw her push her, and she like turned to like counter, but it was like friendly counter, and then we actually linked arms and we just skipped for a second and just kept pushing dudes. Like, it was fun. But then we pushed each other and we're like, all right, back at it. But they're like, we had that moment of. So it's not all just like bitches.
No, it's mostly awesome, or else we wouldn't go back.
Yeah. Of course, I would not go back.
I mean, I have and you guys can let me know if you agree or disagree with this. I think it's just a cool combo. Like, I find myself in an interesting place because even though I'm a feminist in the sense that, like, whatever a woman wants to do, she should be allowed to do, I also kind of subscribe to the idea that, like, I expect guys to be protective because I feel like that's respectful. So, like, for example, my black eye story, it had some toxic masculinity in it, and then it had what I felt to be like healthy masculinity. So essentially, I got punched because I was too close to the mosh pit. I don't think it was done intentionally, but it was shitty. And in that moment, just a whirlwind of men surrounded me, and we're just like, you don't hit girls, man, you don't hit girls. And just in that whirlwind, I was ushered right to the exact part of the stage where the guardrail was, where I wanted to be, like where I was trying to get to.
So maybe you did manifest that.
Yeah.
If it wasn't malicious, I wouldn't want a bunch of strangers to intervene with just a little rando pit beef. But if you're just like, hey, I need to be up there, then those things might have just
they just
aligned.
happened. They just simply happened.
I clearly didn't want, like, I clearly had a vibe of like, I need to be protected, and I think that's fine. Like, as long as it's, again, if it's consensual, being protected.
Well, the idea of men protecting women is problematic in the sense where, okay, right, if society were to collapse tomorrow and people were to try to break into my home, I wouldn't hate it if my husband helped protect me. However, that's a response to the culture that exists. So if we could, or another sidetrack, somebody asked me once, how can you as a feminine let a guy open the door for you? And my response, we were drunk and it was one of my buddies who, he says things to stir the pot.
Yeah.
So it wasn't a serious, this is an inflated conversation. He's like, how can you do that? I mean, he's the type of guy who'll say like the nasty thing just to be like, oh, come on guys, I'm just kidding. She said, how can you let a man open the door for you? I said, when women stop dying in childbirth, then we can circle back and adjust the social niceties.
Yeah.
But let's take some science and make like, women, America is it's the worst, what do we call it? We have the worst mortality rate of all the first world countries.
Holy
so let's
shit.
talk about that.
Oh, interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah. America has the worst mortality, childbirth mortality rate of all the first world countries. It's because our healthcare system is privatized and shitty and misogynistic, and it is based on the idea that sex is a punishable offense.
Yeah.
I didn't
So,
even think
okay,
about
I am my own woman. I can do things. But yes, I will accept friendly help in light of a system that has denied us bank loans. It has denied us equal pay.
Mm-hmm.
It has stigmatized, the idea that, Victoria's Secret can have a huge banner of titties, but a woman can't breastfeed her baby in the food court.
Yeah.
So we've monetized titties.
Interesting.
So in light of this situation, will I accept some friendly help or will I be too proud? Actually, I'll be too proud a lot of the times, but when it really matters,
Because you
I
need
would
that
accept
balance to be restored.
and especially I give enough help. I give help to people all the time. A comedian can come up to me and say, I have heartburn, and you know what? I got Tums in my purse.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We're just not there yet. We got to get there. We got to fix it systemically, and then people's day-to-day interactions will trickle down.
Yeah.
So you can't say, how can you, if you're a feminist, you have to do everything yourself. It's like, well, I'm in a partnership. I'm not the husband and the wife.
And
Yeah,
I mean, I think beyond that, and this might be because like I grew up in a Unitarian Universalist background, and so it's really funny watching. I ran this backstory. We are a very collectivist society, like you people are. So I ran this weird games workshop at a conference once, and one of them was called Missionary Conquest, and it was supposed to be competitive about watching kids, and it was also like the worst game
I
ever.
have to interrupt you for a second
This
because
game
when you
sounds
said
terrible.
missionary,
It's a terrible.
I was like, that
it's a
sounds
terrible
sexual.
game. Literally, it's not.
Figuratively and literally.
No, it's not. It was about going on mission trips. My parents found this weird game in.
I mean,
a
mission
house.
trips are for fucking people.
Yeah. This one was just going on mission trips. It was super fucking racist. Like,
It was.
Yeah.
The couple times when I would
Yeah.
sleep over at my girlfriend, I was raised in
Yeah.
the polar opposite. You sound like you had a free yet spiritual childhood. I had a conservative yet not spiritual childhood.
Yeah.
My parents were neither drunks nor zealots, but they acted as crazy as they could have been either. But my dad would always talk about when the hordes come.
When the hordes
He would
come.
clean his guns for when the hordes came.
Oh my god. So this Missionary Conquest was this terrible game that was about going on mission trips, but it was super racist in that if it went to Arab countries, they were called martyr countries, and that you automatically got so many points if you died there.
So it's like
It was
Civilization
super
Revolution,
fucked
but
up.
extra racist.
Yes,
God.
yes. But watching you kids play it,
What are you kids?
Unitarian Universalist kids,
Gotcha.
yeah, like we were playing it and we're like, well, if we all can't go on the mission trip, then we don't want to go at all. Like, and because I was raised in a collectivist sort of mindset where we're like, well, this is good for me, but if it's not good for the planet and for other people, and not like weird like the Borg 7 of 9 shit, like, but being like, oh, I respect like you're an individual and you need these things, but because there's reasons collectivist mindset, I'm like, why wouldn't I open the door for anybody? Like, it's not that it always gets like turned like genderized. Is that a word? When people want to like just do what your friend was doing. Well, how can you be a feminist if? And it's like, well, why aren't you opening the door for other people? Why are you just being a jackass?
Yeah.
Like, that's the long and short of that, which involved missionary conquest. What a story. I saw the rights to that movie.
Good story though. Yeah, I think
right in with how uncomfortable that story made you.
I'm gonna open another fucking White Clam.
cheers to that, by the way, guys.
Oh, I gotta catch up.
Combo.
Yeah.
What have you manifested recently?
Quit one of my bar jobs. And I've been working on my practice. Been working on making my house amenable for 2 people to live in, which is awesome.
And apparently an entire growing zoo of animals.
2 people, 3 cats, 4 fish, and some butterflies. We're gonna raise monarchs so we can release
That's so
them.
smart.
We're gonna raise them. Yeah, we're gonna hang them from the ceilings so the cats don't get
I've been
them.
looking for milkweed pods on my walks.
Oh,
I think I missed it.
I got the hookup on some milkweed and some monarchs. So
Okay.
hit me up.
Yeah, I'll probably get some of that.
Just keeping on with the career stuff. I mean, the first podcast I had here, that was when I had like a nervous breakdown and was trying to work 5 jobs at once. So that was a fun time. And now I'm not doing that. Now I'm going to be down to 2 jobs and maybe eventually, hopefully, 1 job.
Yeah. Excellent.
And side hustles, but like not side hustles, but projects, like doing more Queen City stuff, doing like what I'm actually supposed to be doing. So just been laying that foundation and trying not to be impatient with myself. Which prior to this, Afura and I did some runes and some tarot fun times, and it was more of the same with that. But if I look back on where we started and where we are now, I think we both killed it. And Shannon, we don't know that much about yours, but you're killing it too.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you guys.
Oh yeah, and you got comedy shows.
Yeah.
Oh, I have a whole mess of shows coming up.
Yeah.
It's been, they all came up in a whole glut. So I do a few things. I do regular stand-up, and then I MC burlesque with at Hot Mama's Canteen. It's a troupe. Everybody always goes, is it the Stripteasers? It's a different troupe. We're the Trash Cans. We're an eclectic troupe, so we do more than just Hot Mamas, but we do the 3rd Saturday of every month at midnight. So we actually, but then also we're doing a one-off show for Infringement Festival. Infringement Festival is a thing in Buffalo where it just celebrates art that's non-mainstream. Kat also organizes Wet Dreamland, which is it's a wet and messy burlesque show. So I'm emceeing for that, and last year we had such a good time. And then August 2nd, that's a Friday, my best friend Rebecca, you guys know Becca? She's a metal chick that's awesome. She does all kinds of art with recycled vinyl records. She was making jewelry, but now she's painting them in these like galactic swirls. So she's having her opening at 125 Gallery on Elmwood in Buffalo. Local content, right?
Hey.
So the 125 Gallery, it's a curiosity shop, a tattoo shop, and then the gallery space. So I'm not a DJ. I'm just going there to spin records.
Oh.
Okay.
I'm not trying to be a DJ. Like people are like, Shannon's not doing stand-up anymore. She's a DJ now. I'm just playing records for my friend. So that's gonna be awesome. And then what is the 3rd? Oh, the 3rd, I'm hosting a comedy show at Milky's.
Hey.
It's a benefit for the Nickel City Renegade Roller Girls comedy benefit. So that's a Queen City joint. So Christy Rock will be there. Kind of
Shout
doing
out
all
to
the Christy Rock really just supports artists. Like she is that person who's like, everybody else will be like, you got it covered, and she'll be like, no, you go get ready for your show. I will set up this bullshit.
Yeah.
She really facilitates art in the most literal way possible. So let's have a cheers for K-Rock.
Have a cheers for K-Rock. Also, just cheers for like And I was going to say, I think there's a common theme here of the universe just being like, you need to do your art form, ladies. Like, like one of the things that came up in my reading was kind of like just this energy of nothing in my life has made normal sense in a long time, like for the past 6 months. But I know that the reason for that is the universe forcing me to stop doing the habitual things that I thought I had to do to survive, and is just forcing me to have nothing left to do but make art and connect with people, which is what I should have been doing.
Right.
You know what I mean? What I should be doing.
But
so.
you
As a
learn why that's
self-employed person,
important.
I'm still finding myself stuck in that routine, that mindset that, oh, Monday through Friday. And even my husband, he's not a side hustle guy. He wants to go to work and come home and party. But he'll even say, he has these party phrases like, time's fake. So why am I internalizing, I don't want a real full-time job. He likes to go to work, have one job. That's not my life. So why am I holding myself to this idea like, oh, it's Saturday, I'm not gonna look for writing gigs. So I'm more and more coming into this idea, it's not that time's fake, because the planets definitely move in a prescribed method, but the idea of like, is it 5:30? It's supper time. To deprogram yourself from that idea, it really takes a lot of unlearning. Or this idea like, I want to eat supper at 6 o'clock. It's just like, oh.
Like, but am I
he
hungry,
comes home
though?
and he comes home not hungry, and I'll be like, well, I made dinner because it's dinner time. So I'm just like,
I just unlearn it from the opposite direction though, because like I grew up just like being like, I had 3 to 5 jobs for the past like 13 years, and I'm like, okay, no, you actually need days where you don't work. Like I needed to program fun in otherwise, and it's like gut-wrenching for me to turn down work. I'm like, oh fuck, like, well, I could, that's like an hour or two, I mean, I guess I could do this, and then I can move around my own personal things. So I have the opposite problem.
if you're a curious person, then you're also just like, well, what if I could have made that money? You know?
Exactly.
I think that's why I'm like, where somebody's like, hey, this job is for editing video, and I'm like, yeah, I did that in college, yeah, sign me up. So speaking of jobs, I have 2 more gigs on the list. Okay, so August 9th.
Shameless plug.
Shameless plug. On August 9th, I'm gonna do comedy at a festival. It's not a comedy festival, it's a music festival.
What?
Yeah.
What
so
music festival?
It's the Big G Jam. It's in Hannibal, New York.
Right.
So they're having the Lady Marmalade comedy tent.
Interesting.
So I'm gonna be featuring at that. So what am I gonna do between 8 in the morning and 10 at night? Because I gotta go right to Jamestown for 10 p.m.
Oh god.
Post Lucy Fest. Karate sleepover, which is a fun name. So I'm gonna do that, and I think I'm gonna invite my dad and stepmom. They have seen me do comedy once.
Oh man.
Are they gonna be
In
scarred
5
for
years.
life?
So yeah, I'm gonna have to go to the comedy museum and then get out of daughter mindset and put on my comedian hat. You know, so I'm just gonna have to just, because there is a code switch to do that.
There is, yeah.
You know, you can't be, the daddy's girl who held the flashlight and then just be like, so period sex rules.
Yeah, that's an interesting topic actually, and it's something I've been thinking about recently is especially like and I feel awkward even just saying this, but as a public figure, which essentially is what I am and do, even though I only have.
Don't backroll it. Don't
backpedal.
Don't backpedal. Yep. Never apologize.
Yeah. Never apologize. But like something that's coming to mind for me is like, how much do I want to share? You know, knowing that I want to share authentically as a content creator, but it's also like, you know, who's watching this? Like, would this be really uncomfortable for my family if they found it? Will people, you know, judge me in a certain way if they don't understand the context of what I'm saying? You know, and that, as a witch, that's something that tends to happen. People are like, so like, okay, so you're a witch. Like, what exactly does that mean? Does that mean that you curse people? Does that mean that you dance naked under the
We
full
want to live
moon?
authentically, but not to the detriment. Like you want
Of
to
ourselves
be you
and
want to be
others.
authentic, but you don't want to like spoil your glamour. Or just as a content creator, witchcraft aside, do writers, you know, when I get those John Hoffman emails, does he ever go, oh boy, did I not feel like writing this today? No, it just says, here are some words, typed to you by John Hoffman, and they're hilarious. So he doesn't show that vulnerable side, but when your practice is about helping people, you know, you want to help people and be real and attainable, but not at the detriment of your message.
Yeah, I think I'm just in a weird place right now where my lifestyle as well as my practice are just so untraditional in so many different ways, and I was raised in a way where it's like you don't share everything. Like, you be private, you be secretive, you don't embarrass your family, like you do this and that. And that's not to say that my family still feels that way. That's just kind of the culture I grew up in. So it's actually a huge kind of like shadow challenge thing for me to actually share authentically. And I think this kind of ropes back into the like tarot reading and the rune reading that we were just doing, where the universe is like taking all of my walls down. It's taking away my usual comforts and my ability to have a charade, I guess you could say, that doesn't feel creatively authentic. Because like for the past almost 2 years now, like I really kind of like whitewashed myself, and I don't mean that in a racist way. I mean in like I painted everything a basic color. And also
it's fine, we're boring. Go ahead.
No. Like I literally, if you look back in my Instagram, you'll notice there's a lot more white in it than there is like dark colors.
Oh, interesting.
And the reason why is because like I was in like the online spiritual coaching community, and I wanted to fit into that. Like I wanted to kind of compartmentalize myself.
Well, sure. Like
that.
if you're like, you know, if you're gonna have a medical brochure, it's gonna look different than a paintball brochure, font wise. You know, I mean, just
graphic design chat. Like, cheers to
you
that.
know, like, I'm not a designer, but I just know, like, yeah, if you're gonna do a medical website, sans serif font, lots of blues. That's just what they're doing.
Yeah, exactly. Like that. It's a similar concept of just kind of like
healthy
filtering.
food packaged in green.
Yeah.
Luxurious
green and
food packaged with red.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like, and I'm just in this place now where I'm like, I'm just gonna let these walls come down. Obviously, I'm not gonna share absolutely everything about myself, but everything I create now comes from a genuine place of like, I know this is weird. I know that it's gonna polarize some people, and I'm gonna do it as respectfully as possible. But at the end of the day, I'm here to be an artist and be a witch and be a thought leader and express authentically.
Well, I have to express my appreciation for you, because I thought of, you know, when I was an undergrad and I was not getting jobs at NPR, I was thinking maybe I should just fully go into my psychic. And that was when I was straight edge hardcore. I was a very snobby straight edge hardcore kid, and I could not deny. Yeah,
I did not know that.
I was exactly. I
was straight edge too.
I had camo tank tops and basketball jerseys.
Wow.
Yeah.
Whoa.
And I still was like, I have powers. I should do something with them when I wasn't finding radio jobs. And so but I just didn't. I just didn't think of it as viable. So I have mad respect for you for just being like, it is viable. I'm doing it.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of just the way I lived my life. Like, and me and Ashera were bonding over this song.
Yeah.
Is that 311 where he's like...
No, it's Dirty Heads.
Oh, Dirty Heads, yeah. Where he's
vacation.
like, I'm on vacation every single day because I love my occupation. Like, that's full on where I'm at right now. Like, and the universe is taking my coaching clients away. The universe is taking away the things that I clung to for stability. And it's
Do you think that's good? You're outgrowing them?
Yes, not entirely. Like there, you know, I do want to continue working with clients in a certain context, but I was trying to use a formula that was given to me by a business coach, and I was just like trying to fit into that bubble, and it got to a point where it didn't feel authentic anymore, and it felt forced. And
it didn't hurt to try though.
No.
I mean, maybe you lost a little time, but like when I waitress, so they'd be like, upsell. You know what? It fucking worked. So
yeah.
You learned something.
Yeah, I learned a lot. I'm very grateful for how much I learned, but at this point, it's kind of just like the universe is like, hey, we're either going to put the money in your bank account or not. What are you going to do about it? Are you going to spend your life spinning your wheels in the same way, trying to make money, even though it's clearly not working? Or are you going to be like, well, I trust that the money will end up in my bank account at the end of the month from some fucking where, and I'm gonna sit here and I'm gonna make this art because that's what, like, I don't have anything else left to do. You know what I mean? And it feels really good, actually. So,
yeah,
like, a lot of manifesting is just about trust, which was what was coming up in the reading.
Trusting your own voice.
For both of
your
us,
instinct.
yeah.
Trusting the fact that if you do what you genuinely want to do, the universe will provide for you. Because, like, my kind of, like, ideology, like, this is as woo-woo as it gets for me, because I'm mainly, like, a psychological witch more so than, like, a gods and goddesses and stuff kind of witch, but my ideology is kind of that, like, we incarnate in order to have our utmost experience and our utmost expression, and if I'm not fully doing that, then the universe is going to cut me off and change my path and force me to do what the universe wants me to express.
Maybe it's not a reflection of what you deserve, it's where you do or do not belong.
Yeah, it's kind of like, is this true for me? Is this real for me? Does this feel right, you know?
Yeah, I feel you. I'm in the midst of my own role switch and leaving, like, service industry and moving into a professional career path and just realizing where one gets in the way of the other, where one is such a safety net, and I've gotten so many connections and people, and I mean, I found my apartment through this, I found friends, I found all sorts of things, but when it stops being a thing that serves me, and now it's like I could be taking clients, I could be doing
like,
something
what
else.
could you be doing with that time that's more aligned for you?
Yeah, and figuring that out and saying, okay, so, like, and it's been a weaning off process of, okay, this is where it makes sense, this is where I want it to be in my life, but not having it dictate my life. Whereas now it like, in the past it'd be like, okay,
it has to serve you, whereas before you were kind of serving it. Is
yeah,
that what you mean?
yeah, like, I need to pick up more shifts because, like, survival. And now it's, as I've moved away from it, I've been able to survive, and that's a supplemental part.
I think that's a really important topic, because especially with manifesting, like, we manifest what we need at the time, and then we sometimes, kind of like what you were saying about deprogramming, like, we get programmed into believing that because that was what was necessary in the last chapter, that we have to keep doing it, even though it's like, no, that served its purpose and you can have gratitude for it. So earlier you were talking about how working in your garden has kind of reawakened your practice. Like, what are do you do any, like, rituals or intention setting as you're doing your gardening?
I don't think I'm that mindful about it. I think it's just I'm willing to just be gross and dirty outside.
Yeah, and that's just a spiritual thing in and of itself, right?
Yeah, it's just like, what I try to do, what makes it spiritual about me is I try to not focus on how much time things take, because a lot of times when I enter a project, I go, oh, how much time will this take? How much time should it take? And I go, with this
is more time deprogramming.
I don't know. Just go outside and start doing work, and sometimes it takes way longer than I expect, and sometimes things go way quicker than I expect. Yeah. So it's just that ownership, I think, without applying, like, metrics or
it's just letting yourself enjoy the process.
Just engaging with it is plenty, because I was a total inside kid.
Yeah.
No. Actually, one of my friends from, like, the local hardcore scene, he has this thing where he's just like, I'm Summer Boy is back. So I'm kind of copying him, where I'm just like, outside punks, I'm an outside punk now.
I feel like I have that too, like, and me and Ashera like to talk, we haven't done it as much in this season, but we like to talk a lot about, like, the seasons and how they affect us and how we work with them. And I know that, like, especially living in Buffalo where it's cold, like, when I am in winter mode, that is a different kind of magic. It's a different kind of spirituality. Yeah. It's a different kind of witchcraft for me. Whereas, like, what I was saying going into this is, like, part of the reason we're using a cat tower as a tripod is because, like, I'm in summer Fura mode. Like, I'm that witch that is, like, sitting in the dirt at concerts and, just being at one with nature in whatever ways I'm able to. And like, currently living in an apartment, and not necessarily like being able to access nature all the time. I kind of just connect with it in whatever ways I can. So if that means like just sitting outside to do my morning journaling instead of sitting inside to do it. And then like last week I did kind of a closing ceremony for the eclipse season, which I was doing a ton of shadow work for that. So on the first eclipse, I kind of did a lot of intention setting. I stole some of your ideas with the like burning the leaves and you know, just I
what happens when you burn them? Because I have more than I'm going to use in cooking in the immediate future.
Write them, burn them. I have some special tweezers so I can burn them all the way down, and I would do this from the new moon to the full moon, and then I took all of the ashes and I put them in my garden. So that's the long and short of it. So you write your intentions, and then
or you can write like a sigil on it, or
a sigil and or some intentions, but yeah, just letting that rest, just being like, once it gets to the full moon, you're like
new moon to full moon.
New moon to full moon. Yeah, that's when you manifest. Yeah.
I did mine a little different. So basically what I did, I kind of combined some things together. So I did some like blood and sigil magic. I essentially wrote down exactly what I wanted to manifest in the next several months, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
And I created a sigil out of it using blood on one of my like handmade pieces of witchcraft paper, and I put that into an envelope. And then I also just wrote down, I just went on a tangent of like every single thing that I want to manifest, and I wrote each one of them down. There were like 100 freaking leaves on the table. I wrote each one of them down on a leaf and burnt it, and then I took your advice of saving the ash.
Yeah.
And so I let that sit, and the eclipses do this thing. It's also new moon to full moon, like that time between, I think it's the solar and then the lunar eclipse, that 2 weeks. I like let the ash and the piece of paper sit on my altar for that 2 weeks while I was just processing life and seeing like where it, you know, took me. And then on the second eclipse, I poured the ash into the envelope with the sigil, and I went to deposit it into a body of water, essentially. And all of these ideas are obviously, I've been influenced by years of knowing different rituals, but what I do now is I use my pendulum, and I'll ask my higher self, like, what am I doing? And it's like do I throw the ash out now? Do I put it in my plant? Do I do this? And it'll tell me what to do. And it was like, you have to just find an outdoor body of water and deposit all of this into it. So
you went to like that shitty lake on the UB campus? Is that the closest
no,
body of water?
I literally, and that's what's funny about it. And I'm glad you.
I was just because I know where she lives, so I was just like,
I'm so glad
I
you
have geolocation. I have mental geolocation.
I'm so glad you asked. And this was a learning experience for me, because when I was younger and first getting into witchcraft, I would have felt obligated to like find my way to Niagara Falls or Lake Erie or something like that, even though it would have been inconvenient for me not having a car. But literally now that I use my pendulum to ask every question, like it'll call me on my bullshit of making things more complicated than it needs to be. So I was
was it like a storm drain outside Wegmans or something?
It was basically. And I waited until the middle of the night when nobody was out, and I just walked to it, and I just kind of had a meditative walk, and then I kind of jumped over this fence, and I just sat in this semi-nature area where I could see like restaurants and parking lots. And I did like a little meditation, and I threw it into the water. It's actually kind of a naturey area back there, but it's obviously man-made, and there were like crickets and frogs and stuff.
Well, they drained a lot of swamps, so that energy has gone somewhere.
Yeah, it's going somewhere.
Oh yeah.
And then I just burned 2 sparklers to be like, this is what's happening.
Oh, sparklers!
And I kind of visualized, like at some point in the future, I'm going to be in a very different place in my life, sitting in nature, burning a sparkler with like my ideal partner or whatever. And I kind of just allowed myself to kind of collapse the timelines and almost imagine that was happening in the present. And then I just walked home. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
I live, I live right around the corner from the Erie Canal.
Good
It's
for
only
you.
been twice. I didn't consult a pendulum. I did a spell, and I was just like, you should just dump this in the canal. It was just like, my gut was just like, just walk around the corner.
Yeah.
Braless and flawless, footless, shoeless. And there's like a banquet hall like right there. So it's just like there
Like,
were
what
no.
is this bitch
Neither
doing?
time there were not any receptions. But now
That's lucky.
Now I think the marketing's a little better because the last couple times we've gone down there with the canoe, there's been events. So I'm just like,
It's where I do my spells.
so an aging punk threw like a dirty stick into the water and just looked at us and moonwalked away poorly, giving us the thumbs up. Is that? Can we get a discount on this event?
That's a great concept too, like
That's what they
magical
call it, moonwalking.
expression. Like, and maybe Ashera, you can speak to this too. And I want you to talk about your nature magic as well. But just the concept of like how weird is too weird for like doing ritual in public or like doing it discreetly, or like what are your thoughts on that?
I mean, I feel like if you're not pulling people in, like you can do something that's like somewhat weird, but if you're making people uncomfortable, then I feel like then you're overstepping a bound. If you're just like, I'm being weird and I'm throwing a stick in water and people are just like
That's
all right,
not gonna harm anybody.
they're not harming anybody. But it's the same thing like
Or like if I chanted for half an hour and ruined their wedding reception.
yes,
Yeah.
If
yeah,
I was in
that
all
would
their
be too
pictures, that would be
much.
not cool.
Yeah.
Or
that
like
would be
just this
too
crazy
much.
witch photo bombing their wedding.
Yeah. Just like I work with sexuality and kinks and in my therapy practice a lot, and so one of my things is like, is it safe, sane, and consensual? If you're having it's okay to have a fetish, but if you're going and doing something in a public place, even if you're not like actively being sexual there, if you're drawing other people into being sexual, then you're overstepping a bound.
Right, like it's okay to be
Yeah.
a furry, but if you just meet somebody to work function, your third thing shouldn't be, I'm a furry.
Or
That should come after, do you have any siblings?
yeah.
Right?
But, yeah, there's that, and also like if you're actively doing something to spur a response within yourself that requires another person
It should be consensual, whether they
to
know
react
what's going on
or-
to react, like if you're looking for their reaction as part of what you're doing, like it's one thing for you to
That's a good barometer, right? I'm going there to throw the stick because
And-
that's my idea of where to get rid of it. But if
Yeah.
I was like, let's
If-
go weird out the banquet participants.
Mm-hmm.
Uncool.
then you're not being cool, like then you're being an asshole.
Yeah.
And you're relying on their response.
a lot
and
of
their-
people-
You're kind of being an energy vampire.
I think a lot of
you're
people-
being an energy.
A lot of
vampire.
people are disingenuous about their intentions for a lot of things. I'm just being nice. You know?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You're not just being nice. Yeah.
I'm just asking a question.
No.
You're
no.
not just asking a question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's if you're relying on a response, then no.
I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I remember when I was doing that spell and asking my pendulum like how to handle it, I was like, would it be ideal, like what time of day would be ideal for this? Mainly just because I know that I'm not going to be able to get into a meditative state if like people are around and judging me. And
Yeah.
it's not that I'm ashamed of my witchcraft, but I just don't want to draw attention to myself when I'm having a spiritual moment.
Well, this is the world we live in, right? You know?
And also,
Right.
it's not. It's you need to have those boundaries up, and because it's your space, but you can't make it your space when other people are just trying to go to Carrabba's. Like, and
Yeah,
just,
that's just not fair to anyone.
it's
including
not fair.
yourself.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not. Yeah.
So speaking of, like, one of the things I've always wanted to manifest is a secret garden where I can do witchcraft and be at one with nature and not be bothered by or bothering other people, which I know you're manifesting and making as well.
Yes, yeah, we have a little secret garden out back now. There's a lavender bush and a berry, so we can get fresh herbs, and so we've got some sage, some dill, some cilantro, basil, a shitload of basil.
Chives are really pretty.
Chives, yeah.
With the flowers.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, are you going to use the edible herbs for some kitchen magic, or?
Oh, of course, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
We're about to
Whether you
make some-
intended to or not, you would.
Oh yeah, but yeah, I mean it's that's one of the things about like kitchen witchery, is that you don't necessarily have to be casting a spell like in order to put
It's just
it into.
intention.
It doesn't have to be a whole ritual. It's just like I'm making food and I chose this from the garden and I chose these things and I chose this recipe because like it's not a drawing down doing a certain thing in a certain way. It's I'm doing this, I'm putting love and intention into it, whether that intention is just like fuel me through the next day.
You know, I do, the way I was explaining about my upbringing and stuff, I mostly felt love through food. My mom was a dope cook. So I do have that ability to just grab things, and not everybody can do that.
Yeah.
Where you just grab meat and vegetables and spices, and you make it great. I mean, not everybody can do that, so that's a learned practice, and that's my primary witchcraft. So it almost seems a little counterintuitive to my feminism to be like, I do my best work in the kitchen. But so a little part of me is just waiting for somebody to be like, well, go back there, bitch. And I was like, I will. But I will not shut up.
But bitch, I will also not share with you. So
you're lost.
Yeah. But yeah, I love cooking as well.
I distill my own I mean, I go into it. I compost.
Yeah.
I do more than I.
Composting was so magical when I was able to do it, and it pains me that I'm not in a place to do it.
My heap is almost waist high. So that's like I have that struggle by being like, oh, what is it? You're a witch. It's just like, yeah. I'm connected to the earth. I don't eat food out of packages. I don't believe everything that comes through the screen box.
Yeah.
I'm connected.
Yeah, just having, even if it's, like you were saying, even if it's not a specific spell, just the intention of wanting to nourish yourself with something that you enjoyed the process of making, I think is magic.
And sometimes I think like cooking for two, or my time trap when I freelance from home. If I make huevos rancheros for one, it takes half an hour. I'm like, yeah, I'm a freelancer. I'm losing money doing this, but it makes me happy.
You're not.
Cooking tacos al pastor for two people. It's kind of an energy suck.
You're not losing money though, because you're putting that energy back into yourself as fuel, and then when you do go back to work, you'll probably be able to manifest a better outcome.
I hope so. You know, I'm making something healthy, or I go to the gym too early, or I'm washing my clothes, but I go, oh, I'm not making money. So maybe I'm just now being like, I'm just always living.
Yeah, I feel like I've been experiencing that as well, where like, especially when I was like doing my business in a way of like, this is business time.
Like you were treating witchcraft like multi-level marketing?
I was kind of treating my business like multi-level marketing, I guess you could say. Not really, but...
Or something.
Yeah, I was treating it like something.
Or what do they call it? What do they call it? Like the content funnel, or...
Yeah, I hate funnels. That I think my breakdown of deciding that I don't want to follow these structures anymore was my pain of creating funnels. Like, I just don't want to do it. It feels contrived, it feels fake, it feels manipulative. So
I mean, on one hand, you know, like let's say I Google, how do I grow lavender for spirituality? If I find your content in that natural place, that's kind of not shitty.
No, but
if you set up funnels that attract vulnerable people, that's shitty. If you attract people who are like, hey, where can I get a really rad diary, and where can I find good content, then those people that's not shitty. Those people do belong here.
Yeah. And I'm not trying to bash the coaching community, but there's a lot of like fear mongering that goes into it.
Yeah,
it's like,
that I don't like.
What's gonna happen if you like don't say yes to this offer right now? You're not gonna manifest your 6-month goals. And like, I had to go through experiencing being on both sides of that to decide, you know, kind of how I feel about it.
Like the chain letter pressure.
But it also kind of what you were saying about deprogramming yourself from things that used to work and no longer work. So at some point in my business, when I was first trying to channel that, like what we in the alchemy community call like the masculine energy of get shit done.
No.
We have to talk about these. Yeah.
Like it was necessary for me to know what my business hours were and to get certain things done on a certain schedule. But now that I'm moving back into my feminine after having neglected it for a long time, now it's like, how can I actually, first of all, make things more efficient so that I'm feeding my own soul, but also creating content at the same time in a way that doesn't feel contrived. So like now something I've been doing recently is I'll actually take excerpts from my own spiritual journaling practice that I do in the morning. And then I will turn that into the newsletter because that's coming from a real fucking place. Like that is something that I think my audience needs to experience, not me like sitting down like, how can I write this newsletter funnel?
Yeah,
All right.
So we each picked a tarot card as usual that kind of represents where we're at, or you know what's happening in our practice. You want to go first, and we'll just move it this way.
Since you picked mine up, and we'll just like get up all close and we're like, hey, King of Swords.
Did it show up? You got to do the makeup brush hand behind.
Yeah, I might have to. Here.
I know, so like makeup artists do the hand behind. So
yeah, King of
They're
Swords.
using like a real camera.
Oh yeah. All right. So yeah, King of Swords for me is very much my work is very emotional and intuitive, but now as I lean into it, I have to balance that with how do I get this done and how do I transition into being who I'm supposed to be and manifesting all of the best parts of myself. And that requires a lot of logic, and it's actually been very helpful for me. So I'm very much leaning into the King of Swords right now and saying, okay, this is what needs to happen. This is what needs to be cut today. This is what we can do this week. And just quit messing around. You know?
I feel like something that came up, which context, we did a reading before this, and this came up as like one of the pieces of advice. I feel like a big part of that energy for you is like, in the past, maybe you were manifesting from a place of like, do I know what I want? What do I want? And you're kind of learning as you go. Whereas now you know what you want, and you're just like, we just need to make these cuts and do these things and get these things done in order to make these things happen.
And as I do that, my vision of what my end game is opens up and becomes more specific and exciting. Actually,
it's an empowering place to be.
Where there's multiple goals that I'm all working on that funnel into each other. So, yeah.
No pun intended about the funnel emails thing.
Yeah. But yeah, they all feed into one another. Let's go with that. Yeah.
I love that. So I
the funnel in my rainbow. Yeah. Funnel.
I can't pick it up because my nail is breaking, but I picked the World card because... Can you see it? You can see it. I picked the World card because I've been in this place of, it almost felt for a long time like the Hanged Man, of like, you're in this awkward freaking spot and it's for your own good to evolve and learn, but it's just weird. Whereas now, in a lot of the readings that are coming up for me now, I'm getting a lot of the World card, and something I always tell my clients if I'm doing a reading for them is like, a lot of the time the World card actually comes up when you don't think that you're fully like in the right place, or you don't think that you're like celebrating a success. You think things are weird, but this card will show up to remind you like you're exactly where you need to be in order for your manifestations to line up, but you have to sit through the discomfort, and you also have to be willing to be in a place where you're celebrating even though things don't look the way you expected. Because let's be real here, when we're manifesting, it never manifests the way we expect it to.
No.
You know? So
it's like a practical joke on yourself.
Exactly.
It really is, yeah.
Exactly. So yeah, I've kind of just been in a place of finally, for almost the first time in my life, I want to say, just surrendering to the process and actually letting myself enjoy it instead of constantly questioning, is this working? Is this working?
Right, like, do I fit into the regular world?
Well, not even the regular world, but do I fit into anything that I used to think made sense?
Right.
You know? And the answer to that question a lot of the time lately is no, you know, and it's that trust of like, I know that the universe will provide for me because I am going through the experiences that I need to go through as a soul. And I have to not only accept that, but I also have to let myself enjoy it instead of just freaking out all the time. Hence being on a 4-day bender. She's like, yeah, cheers to that.
Yeah.
Like, just
Sometimes
trusting
you
the
gotta
universe.
let the shadow out. For real though.
Okay, so I'll preface my card selection by saying, I am a dope tarot reader. However, I have to use the book. So when these two said, oh, pick a card for the meaning that fits you, I thought like, my understanding doesn't work that way. But when she hit the King of Swords, I was like, oh, swords, that's an association. So I picked the Two of Swords, the crossed swords. And the meaning there is you know, it's hilarious. It's a little pervy. Cross swords. And not just because Ghostbusters. Right, because Ghostbusters don't cross the streams. So part of, I talked about pre-Derby Shan was a person who was secretly confident but a little apologetic. I would surround myself in these masculine environments. So I was hanging out with some hardcore bros who somehow the idea of swords came up, like dudes crossing swords. Oh, because I knew some straight edge guys who were best friends, and they said, we cross our dicks when we pee and do an X.
Oh my
crossing
gosh.
swords. So then, I don't know, a couple years later, I was talking to some more uptight straight edge guys, and I said like, oh yeah, crossing swords. No, nobody, no, that's not a thing. And I was just like, ooh, and I felt the power of that.
Oh,
that
I
irritation.
just got it because like
Sword
the
sticks,
symbol
yeah.
of
the crossing
straight
swords means
crossing.
yeah, so the X, the dicks, so they would make an X with their dicks to pee. It was crossing swords. Whatever. It's just kind of some summer camp kind of nonsense. But when I was with my primary family of hardcore people, no, that's not a thing. That's not a thing. So then I just like, we used to have this thing where they would say, Shannon does what she wants. I do what I want. It's like, no, I really don't. I was in a very controlling, oppressive relationship, and I did not do what I wanted. But there was a couple of times where, you know, he would say like, hey, my brother's coming over. Maybe you should put a bra on. Maybe you should shut the fuck up. And then another time was, so that was like the one time in 3 years. He told me I couldn't do comedy and I couldn't sing. So yeah, and I believed him because we were family. But when it came to this swords thing, that was like the crack. And he got so shook by the swords thing that I would just, for the last couple of years of the relationship, anytime somebody would say the word swords, we're talking about D&D, we're watching Lord of the Rings, talking about Highlander, somebody would say the word swords, we're at the flea market, I'd hear the word swords and I'd go, and just shook to the core. There's the power of that weakness to just say swords.
Because you knew it would set him off.
Oh, it was hilarious. When I was in roller derby, one of my running jokes was the bitch wizard. It was me and my friend's band. We were going to start a band. I came up with it. Our band's going to be Bitch Wizard. And the band never manifested, but actually, hi, if you're a talented black metal musician in the greater Buffalo area and you're not a douchebag, contact Shanzig about opportunities to be in Bitch Wizard, a feminist black metal band that lives up here. We have several conceptual songs. Breeding in captivity! Anyway, so that roller derby girl's ex wound up being in Governess, my best friend's band now. So I went to see Governess and they were like, this next song is called Bitch Wizard. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So it kind of manifested.
He wrote Bitch Wizard sort of without my upfront knowledge. So then I saw the band after the show. I was like, hey, great set. And he was just like, so you're the Bitch Wizard? Like, yeah, you're goddamn right I am. So Bitch Wizard is a song written about me. And then later when I told, so Robot Rob is in Shanzig and he's my big brother. He's my adopted spiritual big brother. So, you know, Bitch Wizard was my first song, but then I told him about crossing swords. And he came to me and he said, because he still calls me my derby name, he's like, Sheer Tara, I wrote the most homoerotic song I've ever written. It's called Midnight Sword Fight.
Yeah.
And then before they play the song, he goes, swords is real. Swords is real.
I love it.
Which is what I would, it turned into a, so that's why I picked the Two of Swords.
Can I like be
Swords
serious?
is real.
Can I be serious for a second though? I feel like part of that story though.
Yeah, so what does does the actual meaning of this card have any does it have any bearing on that? Because I just thought it was hilarious.
I mean, not necessarily the thing with the guys crossing swords, but what I think of with this, like of you being in those oppressing relationships and stuff like that, and then just deciding one day you're not going to be in that awkward standstill of balancing, do I want to be myself or do I want to be in this relationship? Like you decided, I'm gonna do comedy, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that, and you had to kind of come out of this moment of pausing and questioning those two things.
There was a midnight sword fight inside of me?
There was a midnight sword fight inside of you. And there probably is in you too.
Cheers to that, guys.
And on that note,
peace out, guys.
Peace out. It's been a good episode. Bye.